Well, what a competition. My word.
This horse has been absolutely brilliant.
Such a partnership, these two. Exceptional.
What a fabulous combination. Pure class as a rider.
And that was easy.
Oh, he's way over it.
It was 1949 that the Badminton Horse Trials were established as the complete test of horse and rider in this magnificent setting. And since then, 43 different riders from 8 different nations have won the title. In the last decade, British riders have struggled somewhat to actually win, only Oliver Townend and William Fox-Pitt being successful. In a glut of German and Antipodean success, New Zealand, in fact, are going for 3 wins in a row. But whatever the outcome, whatever the weather, this remains one of the biggest and best dates in the British sporting calendar.
Style.
Tradition.
Fear.
What is badminton?
Badminton is commitment.
Passion. History.
That's a masterful piece of riding. Yes, she's got it. That is absolutely fabulous.
Partnership.
Adrenaline.
Bravery.
Hard work. Big jumps.
Determination.
Badminton is badminton.
Now, over the years at Badminton, we've seen plenty of couples competing against each other, and one of them may have gone on to win. Lucinda Green against David Green, Captain Mark Phillips against Princess Anne, Lucinda Fredericks against Clayton Fredericks. But never in the 70 years of this great competition have both husband and wife managed to win the title. Now, Janelle Price is the reigning champion. She's not riding this year, maybe leaving the way clear for her husband, Tim. And their relationship is competitive yet compelling. They drive each other on to greater heights. What would you say is the secret of your relationship? What do you both like?
I'm very easy.
That's not true. I'm very tolerant.
That's quite true. It just works. You know, I don't think there is any secret.
It takes work.
I think we're actually quite opposite in many respects, and you know, and then somehow it's like, you know, the yin and the yang. Life has a balance, you know. Tim's quite relaxed. I'm probably less relaxed. I'm a bit more on time. He's not so on time.
We're both from the South Island of New Zealand. Janelle's 6 hours north, the top of the South Island.
I probably first met when we were sort of 15, 16.
So it was like, who's that young chick from the top there?
Didn't get together probably 5, 6 years later. So it was a slow burner.
Took you a while to win me over, I think.
But he then took a further 9 years to propose. So it really has been a slow burning thing. But luckily we're in it for the long haul.
I was always quite a natural and, you know, sort of finding my way a little bit along the wobbly line. And Janelle's definitely straightened me up and given me some structure around that talent and things.
Yeah, we just drive each other competitively. You know, what one does, the other feels an urge to do and then do better.
Yes! She rode her luck, but fortune favours the brave. Janelle Price is the badminton heroine of 2018.
You know, badminton is the holy grail of, you know, of eventing. It's what everyone dreams of as a child. You know, while you come in thinking you can do it one day, I didn't expect it to be that day. It was just an incredible moment that, yeah, I'll cherish forever.
I don't tend to get nervous watching Janelle go around cross country, especially on a horse like Classic Malway. But come show jumping, when you were about 4 from home and she'd actually left all the poles up, that was when it really started to, I've never felt that kind of rush before, but it's an incredible moment.
Badminton was so unexpected, whereas Burley, I don't know, it just felt right, and he seemed very in control, and it just all went to plan, and I just thought, he's going to do this. It wasn't, until afterwards, probably, that you reflect back and appreciate just how special it was to claim those 2 majors in the same year. Both been our first sort of serious victory. Rio was very special, of course. It was our first time as husband and wife on the team. It was slight bittersweet, the way the result turned out for New Zealand. We were sort of so close, yet so far. But, in a way, maybe that is sort of where the story begins. And we certainly hope that one day we will, have that moment of standing on the podium in the top spot together, at something like the Olympics.
We want to have a good year this year in preparation and a good year next year, and the icing on the cake would be a medal, especially a team medal at the Olympics in Tokyo.
Now, obviously, the riders do all the hard work in the saddle in terms of competition, and they get the glory when things go right, but they can't do it without a brilliant team behind them. They've got to have a groom who has a great relationship with their horse. And here in the engine room of the stables, well, this is where most of the prep work takes place.
So this is Lasman Diamond Lift, or as he's known at home, Sparkles. He's certainly got the nature for it. He's an absolute poppet, but he's so mischievous. He loves to be in trouble. Being groom is all about the early mornings, the late finishes, but you get such a reward out of it. You've got to appreciate everything, because yes, you have some horrifically long days, long weeks, but you get to go to these fantastic events and watch these fantastic horses perform at their best. A good groom has to be passionate about what they do, be determined to work hard, and be determined to learn as much as you can, because you're never done learning. We can teach you skills, but we can't teach you passion. That's the life of being a groom. You've got to be prepared to roll with the punches and expect the unexpected. And there's nothing better than horses to be great levelers or throw something unexpected into the works for you. I want my horse to do well, so I will be here doing everything I can to make sure he performs as well as he can, and to make sure Bill has the chance of doing really well, and that's what it's all about. It's my first time here. I've never seen behind the scenes like this. Stables are incredible. All the grooms, we're all just so thrilled to be here, and everyone is so friendly and helpful. Everybody's helping each other out, and it's lovely. The atmosphere in the stables is just incredible. Everybody's just looking forward to the week and looking forward to having a good week and taking our horses back safe and sound at the end of it.
In 1948, the 10th Duke of Beaufort went to watch the eventing at the Olympics and was hugely disappointed with a poor performance from the British riders. Afterwards, they said it was because they had nowhere to practice. So he offered this place, and in 1949, Badminton Horse Trials started. It had an effect almost immediately. A team gold medal in 1956, followed by team gold again in 1968 and in 1972, and regular Olympic podium performances since then. Next year in Tokyo, you could argue that Britain would be favourites for gold again, mainly because of what they did at the World Equestrian Games last year, where Ros Canter was not only part of the successful team, she was also delighted and somewhat surprised individual champion.
Elation for Team GB, Ros Canter has gold.
It's still quite a surreal kind of experience for me, really. It was just a complete roller coaster of a week, and it's still a little bit of a shock. I still have to pinch myself sometimes. I think the whole week was so focused around the team as a whole that the individual medal completely took me by surprise when Ingrid had that fence down and everyone came running over. It just hadn't even crossed my mind. So yeah, I still enjoy it today. It was an amazing experience.
And being part of a team that are world champions, how much does that mean to you, and how much fun was it?
Oh, it was brilliant. The team atmosphere was absolutely fantastic, and I've made some great friends along the way too. And it was just an amazing experience, and to make everybody proud as well. I think that, you know, coming to Badminton and Burghley, you get such recognition within the equestrian world, but the way it hit the local community as well at home was really special.
Now, you're not riding at Badminton this year. Just explain why.
I'm 7 months pregnant, so yeah, I'm taking a little bit of a break at the moment, and then hopefully kind of going to gear back up for the Olympics next year is the plan.
So you've got to qualify and then hopefully get selected?
Yeah, qualification's the big thing, and then hopefully selection next year, but the British team at the moment are probably as strong as they've ever been, so it's certainly not a given. I'll have to work quite hard as soon as I've had the baby to get back up to where I was before.
And when you look back at that double gold medal at the World Equestrian Games, it's even more impressive for the British riders, considering the selectors controversially decided not to take the world #1, and that is a decision that still hurts Oliver Townend.
I sort of take everything very, very personally. This is what I do, this is my life, this is why, you know, I jump out of bed at 4 o'clock in the morning or 3:30. But at the same time, I'm still very open-minded. I still want to improve. I still never stop striving to get better as a rider, and yeah, I think sometimes off the back of those dark moments or those low points, I come out the following season and think, actually, I've come on for this.
And obviously you come in here off the back of another massive win in Kentucky. What was that like?
I'm still living in dream world. It's something that means so much, and it'd be hard to put into words. I'm still, you know, it's not sunk in at all. Something that's very special and something that'll stay with me for the rest of my life. You know, it's like winning a Wimbledon. You forever, whatever you muck up after this, you're still a Kentucky winner or a badminton winner.
He's just got to jump this to win the Mitsubishi Motors Trophy. He's done it!
Looking back, you think you're grown up and you think you're very established, but you know, I was still basically a very insecure child on a wing and a prayer, really. Lucky enough to have the great horse of Flink Curtis, who I developed a good partnership with, and it's very easy at 26 to think that you're going to rock up and win these competitions every year, but you soon find out that it's not quite as simple as that. I've pretty much grown up in the public eye within the sport. I've always been watched, I've always been criticised, I've always made my mistakes very publicly, and I think that if I keep improving from the amount of mistakes I've made, then I won't end up being too bad. I don't really think that I have anything to prove to the outside world, but at the same time I'm still proving things to myself. I think that if I look at the next few years, I'm almost embarrassed that I've not been to an Olympics. It's something that probably niggles me more than most things, you know, that I've managed to win a lot of competitions at top level. To not get there's sort of upset me quite a bit, so I'd love to get to an Olympics.
So here's the big question. Can Oliver Townend follow up his success of 10 years ago? Can he follow up his win in Kentucky? Could the winner come again from the Southern Hemisphere, from Australia, New Zealand, or even Japan? Or will we see a first-time winner from this group of talented British contenders?
Always great coming here, especially with a horse that is a 4-star horse, 5-star horse it's called now. You know, I've had some great results at Burghley with her. I know she's, you know, a really brave little mare that can make the trip and loves to gallop. So when you've got that in the back of your mind too, you always come here thinking we could stand a chance if all went well, but it's just getting it all to go right on the days. It's the ultimate 5-star test. They've got to be just so brave. It's very big. It's pretty technical, you know, she's just going to have to be at the top of her game with both of us really, and hope we've got a bit of luck on our side as well.
It's like the mecca of eventing really. History, 70 years this year. My dad's worked here every year on the Saturdays of Vet, so I've always grown up seeing Cross Country Day. Always wanted to be part of the action, and yeah, just really excited and very lucky to be here. Tough track, lots of angles. I think it needs riding really positively. A lot to be done and never to switch off really. But yeah, it's a privilege to be here, and it's not. We've prepared to come here, so hopefully just take it all in our step and stride, and off he goes. He's good enough to do it, so it's just down to me.
It's really special to be at Badminton any year, particularly with a horse like Mr. Bass. I've had him since he was a 4-year-old, and he means the world to me, so he's like my best friend. So yeah, so it's extra special being here with a horse like him. You know, we're at Badminton, it's going to be a proper cross-country challenge. I think there's a lot of questions that we've not really seen before, so it'll keep us on our toes, and hopefully he's feeling as good as he normally is. So much hype around it. It's obviously the biggest event in the world, and so many people here watching, and the expectations are high, so it's just trying to, you know, have a plan and stick to the plan and not get sucked into, you know, the buzz of being at Badminton.
Now, the first test for those riders in the first stage of this equine triathlon is dressage, and this essentially is dancing for horses. They've got to be agile, they've got to be accurate, they've got to be obedient. They've also got to look the part. The riders are only allowed a snaffle bit. They're not allowed to carry a whip. They are required to wear spurs, but they're only little short ones. So the rider's got to be really strong. They've got to have a great partnership, and they've got to impress the judges. And let's see who got the best scores. Tom McEwen has been rising up through the ranks. He was part of the British team that won gold at the World Equestrian Games, finished 7th here at Badminton last year on Toledo de Cursa. And what a start for them. A score of 24.7, good enough for 3rd.
Delighted with him. Couldn't be better. Consistent, fluent, nearly mistake-free. There's still some marks to be grabbed out there, but yeah, so excited with how he performed and how he produced it, because we all know he can. It's just been just a bit of time patiently waiting for it to come.
Setting the pace, though, Oliver Townend on his horse Ballamore Class, who was 5th here last year. His 2017 Burghley winner in fine form, and 21.1, the score rewarding his fluency and accuracy.
Ballamore Class is fitter and stronger than he's ever been, and he definitely knows it as well. He's not just physically fitter, but mentally a lot tougher as well. He had a great spring season this year, so he's definitely match fit.
For the first time in 50 years, the same rider is in 1st and 2nd position after dressage, and that's because Oliver Townend and Kilner Braddon Evo set a new record score at Badminton, the first horse ever to go under the magic 20, 19.7 their score, and the outright lead for the black horse known as Gary.
It's great to set a record, something that we always dream of, trying to sort of raise the bar, and I couldn't have been happier. More for the team at home and the owner, Sally Ann Eggington. You know, the horse has had a checkered career. Being 1st and 2nd after dressage is just a dream come true. You dream of days like that, and let's just hope that I can keep it going.
A slim, trim Oliver Townend, who says he's lighter than he was when he was 18 years old. He's lost over 2 stones since January to be fit and light for this. He's in 1st and 2nd place. Tom McEwen well placed, so too Piggy French and Pippa Funnell. Look at that leaderboard. The top 8 riders are all British. That hasn't happened for years, but it will all come down to the cross-country, both jumps and time. Well, there's a huge sense of anticipation here on Cross Country Day. We've got perfect conditions. It's bright. There's a slight breeze. We had a shower of rain last night, so the ground should be perfect. The crowd's just piling in. They're going to be packed around every fence. And the first rider we're going to see on the course is the hugely experienced Pippa Funnell. 3 times a winner here at Badminton in the early 2000s. She's also twice been a European champion. She's been to the World Equestrian Games, the Olympics, a regular in the British team. She's coming now to the first big problem on the course. This is the Savills staircase. Down those steps, then looking for the big spread. Lovely, away she goes. Pippa Funnell is off and running. The rest of the riders will be watching her closely. Let's join our commentary team of Ian Stark and John Kyle.
No better trailblazer for us than a lady with several victories here at Badminton. Pippa Funnell and Myers Hope taking on the Jules Corners and heading to the influential Vicarage area. And we spoke to several other former winners about the efforts required at Badminton.
The riders now arrive at fence 10. This is a first real question where the riders have to make a very clear decision of which direction they're going to go. Let's take a look. So the horse and riders have to come under this structure, and what that does is that puts you on a very straight line to the ditch. Then you'll need a very good jump over this, which will really dictate of where you go from this fence. However the horses jump the ditch, they're jumping into this bank, they're going to lose a bit of momentum. Now both horse and riders are going to have to be really quick with their reflexes to get to the next element. It appears the horses just have to go straight on, but the riders need to make a choice right from the beginning whether they're going to jump the left or the right-hand side. Now, I'm personally favouring the left-hand side. You're going to have really quick reflexes. The horses only have a moment to see the fence. Hopefully they'll jump it. Now, as a rider, I'm going to be very aware of this red flag here so I don't get any penalties.
So Pippa Funnel and Myers Hope come into this rather tricky hollow. Interested to see which way she goes. Oh, and a nice little trot. Perfect 2 strides. That was beautifully ridden. Actually rode much easier than the riders were expecting. And then suddenly from that technical difficulty of the hollow, we've got this massive footbridge, and Pippa sees a fantastic stride. Really goes for it. Myers Hope responding, looking really positive as they set out and get going around this course.
Well, another former victor here, Oliver Townend, Kilnabrad and Evo. This is the combination that are our dressage leaders on that record-breaking score of 19.7. Just getting that final very steep slope down to the top of the Beaufort Steps.
So the Outlander bank for Pippa. It's a big step up with a little ditch in front of it, and it could be 1 or 2 strides on there. Myers Hope was quite bold, put 1 stride and then touched down with the front foot, showing a lot of clever work with his footwork. And that chicaner is really, it looks enormous if you stand at the side of it, but it's a bit of a let-up jump for the horses as they come on forward up to the Hildon Pond with a big drop in. And there is a waterfall coming out halfway down the drop in, but the horses shouldn't see that. But what they will see is the water dribbling from the fence in the middle, and it may just distract the horses' attention. But Myers Hope looking positive, and a great ride there. And the riders back in the camp watching this monitor will be thrilled with Pippa's performance.
Oliver Townend looking determined here with Kilnabrad and Evo. This is a horse with a very patchy cross-country record at this level, but Oliver is going to make sure of each and every jump today.
Here we are at 17AB, left-hand corner. We've got a jump, do a little S-bend, a little left, a little right, down to this very difficult ditch, and the way it's got a downhill slope to it with an uphill landing. Okay, landing of the ditch, we have a little uphill, we got to look right, a very difficult right-hand bend to this corner here. The longer route is a more safer option, smoother, and I think for the probably 7 seconds, it's worth doing it.
Interesting that Andrew thinks the 7 seconds going long route is worthwhile, but Pippa's taking the direct route. 90-degree corner, takes the flag out, but quite safe there. Riders didn't know how that ditch was going to work, and Myers Hope just launched at it. So Pippa's circling the final element. Perfectly legal, it's got a separate number, but boy, is she wasting time, and this will be really frustrating for Pippa. But it's all about the jumping. Myers Hope make nothing of the corner, but that's just a few seconds. It's going to be added to the clock.
Back to the Shogun Hollow for Oliver Townend and Kilnabrad and Evo. They get absolutely channeled through this narrow roofed element, and then it's over a skinny ditch and a choice of 2 logs, and both pretty much invisible to the horse's eye. It's about the rider getting this done.
So we're at fence 19, the Nyetimber Heights, and what we've got is quite a decent hedge up this quite steep bank, where we've got to attack with some energy, and as you can see, it's straight into the sky, so you really need a brave horse, but the rider needs to attack up the hill, and then when you get to the other side, you've got to get control for your turn, because you've also got a steep bank. Okay, so you've had the bravery on the approach, you've landed with control, and now you've got to make a choice. Which one of these 4 am I going to jump? As you can see, landing on this bank is
really steep down here. They could well be quite long and strung out. You've got to come around here, get some control. I'm choosing this one, second from the left. Took my eye. It's very skinny, but it's not very big.
So Myers Hope coming up to this big mound. It's a massive brush on the top, just brushes through the top of it. It's quite soft, it's quite sympathetic, quick turn and very clever again with his footwork. This horse is showing masses of experience, and we want to see the horses dance in front of these fences.
The other riders will also really be noting that split time coming out of the Vicarage Field area. This is a real cross-country machine, the ex-racehorse Arctic Soul and Gemma Tattersall, but she is really struggling for control here on the early part of this badminton track.
And Oliver coming to the bank. He saw Pippa's horse be very clever. Oh, and that was foot perfect. That could not be better. That Oliver will be thrilled and give him lots of positive thoughts about the way around this course. Makes nothing of the Trakehner as well. He's really showing all his class, Oliver.
Here we are at fence 25, the famous Badminton Lake, which has seen a lot of action and thrills and spills over the years. This year, on approach, it looks like, as in other years, that we're going to land the big drop straight into the water. But as the horses take off here, they'll see there's a bank, so I think they'll quickly put their front legs down, and then momentum will carry you quickly into the water, where riders will have to decide which option they want to take out. The left-hand route is a long way, but I think most will opt to take the direct route, which is on the right here, up this bank, 2 strides on a bending line, and you're out of the lake.
Pippa turning into this big log with a bit of brush on the top. Ooh, and Myers Hope jumps right down to the bottom of that bank and lands in the water, pulls Pippa forward at a quick recovery and beautifully out, wasting no time at all. And she gives him a very, very well-deserved pat. And just listen to the crowds cheering. That gives the riders so much confidence.
Oliver Townend in his first of 2 rides. Kilnebad and Evo at the Mirage Pond. Again, glances that flag off just as we saw Trailblazer Pippa do. Doesn't get the most comfortable jumps over this ditch either, but he is going to commit to the straight route and gets it.
Yeah, great accuracy and brilliant riding there from Oliver. And I have to say, this horse is seriously responding well. The riders back in the camp, none of them thought that this horse was probably a badminton horse, but Oliver's certainly making it look easy, and he is riding to the top of his game.
The Night Timber Heights, William Fox Pitt told us about the various options. They're all seeming to lock in just, though, on this second from the left.
And again, great accuracy from Oliver. And Huntsman's close on the way home for Pippa. Little peck on the landing, taking the direct route. That's 5 strides with 2 massive oxes, but they're silver birch rails, so it helps in the dark of the trees.
Gemma Tattersall, Arctic Soul, wasn't quite their day in the dressage, but look at this horse eat up that big fence, the KBIS footbridge across the infamous Vicarage Ditch.
Almost home now for Pippa. A lot of galloping, but only a handful of jumps left as she comes to the quarry. Possibly one of the softest routes through the quarry I've seen for many years, but it is at the end of the track, and it's right at the top of the highest point of the course as well.
On Lakeside, a triple of separately numbered brushes for Oliver Townend and Kilnebad and Evo on their way towards the famous lake, and that comes up really well for them.
Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, I'm very impressed with this horse, and Oliver's doing such a fantastic job, just nursing this horse around, but giving it confidence with every jump. As he turns there, sees a great stride. The crowds here at the lake are enormous, and it's very distracting for a young horse that's coming to badminton for the first time. But it's not Oliver's first time, and he's showing all that experience now. He just pops that, absolutely lands very short. If you compare that with Pippa's ride, who landed right at the bottom of that bank. And a little bit stepped coming out of that brush. Looking a fraction weary, but Oliver's helping the horse and nursing it all the way home.
Well, we see exceeding the 11 minutes 45 optimum time, Pippa Funnell and Myers Hope jumping the second last and coming up through the warm-up arena. A steady hill all the way back into the main arena for the final of the 33 fences on course for our Trailblazer today. But she has tried out and proven some of the very toughest routes on this course. She's proven exactly what the other riders wanted to see, and she's got to be pleased with this.
Yeah, fantastic performance from these two, and the horse just got better and better. The frustration of that circle gave her a few time penalties, otherwise brilliant.
Absolutely buzzing with Mare's Hope. Really, really thrilled. Nothing beats the feeling of finishing on a fresh horse through the finish and having them gone and tried their best for you. I had a really good ride. I know as the day goes on I'll be frustrated about the time falls, but Eric Winter built a really clever course and a lot of unpredictable areas where he used the terrain and the humps and the bumps and things to knock them off their rhythm, and where they had to, and we had to as riders, trust their footwork. And the ditch where I had to take the long route, you couldn't really react on how they were going to jump that ditch, and I just felt the way he jumped it a little bit big, and I don't know whether he left a little bit of a foot back, and I just couldn't get my eye on focus on the corner. I didn't want to risk it, so I wasted time there, which was frustrating, but otherwise, I had a really, really great ride.
Gemma Tattersall and Arctic Soul up at the top of the course, this Hildon Water Pond that's been on the track here at Badminton for just 5 or 6 years, and it's been a good fence every year, and this combination have started to just settle into the rhythm we're more used to seeing from them.
Bango and Tim Price come into this tricky hole, a nice little trot, slightly awkward jump, and then the horse looked a little bit inexperienced, a little bit green, and Tim's doing a bit of tack adjustment there. As he jumped the ditch, he just didn't look very confident, the horse, and never really focused on that log. So Tim's now got to think again, get represented. It's very important when you're on a cross-country course not to hassle the horse if you have to take an alternative. It's very easy to distract them and lose confidence. There, Tim makes nothing of that.
On his way home, Kilnabraden Evo, Oliver Townend bursting into the main arena here at Badminton to huge cheers. He's going to be over the time, but actually Oliver will be super pleased with this horse. As we said, not the greatest reputation cross-country, and he's going to make absolutely super sure of this final fence as well. Comes home with 12.4 time penalties, 32.1 for the lead at the moment.
Well, let's have a word with Oliver Townend after that clear round on the horse he calls Gary, our leader after dressage. Obviously a few time faults out there, and you really had to look after him.
Yeah, he's a horse that's not bred to get the distance. He's a horse that's never done the trip before, and everybody in the whole event, I think, in the whole eventing community, didn't believe he'd get to the finish flags, but have an unbelievable team at home. I have a lot of faith in the horse. I know him well, and he's really dug deep today. He's given me absolutely everything.
Obviously, you've got a great chance later on. Do you think anyone, including you, can go inside that time?
I don't know, Claire. It's Badminton. It's a very, very special place. It takes some jumping around. If you would just set off to jump round there at any speed, it's a seriously tough test. It doesn't look half as much as what it is on the TV. But there's always a freak appears, like last year, Classic Moe, so hopefully I'll be sat on it.
And so Tim Price jumped those 3 brushes as he comes to the lake, and it looks as though he's put his hand up, and actually he is retiring. He's not had the easiest ride with Bango. Horse has been very distracted. Don't know whether it's the crowds or whether he's just a little inexperienced, but Tim's decided to call it a day.
Early in his round, William Fox-Pitt and Little Fire. William, 14 times a winner at this level in the sport, more than anyone else, including twice here at Badminton.
Gemma Tattersall's Arctic Soul. He was not the Mr. Perfect in the dressage yesterday, but he's certainly showing all his experience in the cross-country. Gemma's had quite a job holding him together. He's always very enthusiastic. She's making a big effort to get him rebalanced for the water. She's having to work quite hard at getting him to turn. But the actual jumps are nothing to him. He just gets a little enthusiastic in his attitude sometimes, and that's what's so brilliant about him.
There, William, and this horse, Little Fire, winning 3 times world #1. Just gets a bit up in the air over that footbridge. We've seen people fly it a bit more, but it's just great to see William having a good round on this, the first of 2 rides.
And Graf Liberty and Christopher Burton for Australia up these brush corners.
Again, he takes the middle of the 3.
Poetry in motion, that was quite spectacular.
Undulating approach.
Up at the top of the course, the Hilden water pond. William drops in, he goes on the tight inside line, and he's a mile off the second element, but just sits in. And they clear, and they get their knitting back together and head on to the big brush.
And flying into the main arena, Gemma Tattersall's an Arctic Soul. 22 seconds, 23 seconds over the clock. He's still pulling as he comes to the last. Whoa, and hits it. Doesn't have an easy jump. And it's a brilliant round from Gemma and Arctic Soul. 32 time penalties. That's very unusual. He's a very fast horse, but she's had to spend a lot of time fighting with him.
William Fox-Pitt and Little Fire at the Mirage Water over the first of those big corners. One of the few who hasn't glanced that white flag away. They really need to be far over to the left-hand side of that pretty natural-looking ditch. And actually, Little Fire a touch sticky over the ditch in the second corner, but clear, and that's the result they want.
Little Fire saves some precious seconds by going through 18 directly.
As he comes to the Night Timber High Sea, and I mean, it's just superb to see William riding so well with such a good horse.
Yeah, this is a fabulous horse. I mean, everyone would love to be on this horse, and William's doing a great job with it. He's not that experienced. William's giving it a great ride, and I have to say, William's back. It's great. It's brilliant. And, you know, we haven't seen this William for a while, and it's great to see him here.
Chris Burton and Graf Liberty. Chris, a Burley winner a couple of years ago at this level, just easily skips on and off that Outlander bank here.
Yeah, fantastic. He's making this look so easy, and the interesting thing is he just looks as though he's out for a canter on a Sunday afternoon. He doesn't look as though he's being competitive, but he's kicking on as William Fox-Pitt and Little Fire come to the lake. And William says that this is the horse that kept him in the sport. He's brought this horse on from a baby. He's nursed it, he's given it the experience, and he thinks it's a superstar in the making. And he's certainly proving it at the moment. I think what William would love is that final big win with this very, very special horse.
Chris Burton in the meantime, and Graf Liberty coming to the Night Timber Heights. It's a very steep slope that the first element sits on, and 4 very different choices. And of course, look at that, right on the time coming out of the Vicarage section.
And William kicking on. Little Fire has just gained experience as he's gone around this course. He's taken the longer route there. He hasn't gone inside the tree, and that's probably quite wise. The horse has had a lot to think about, and he's just been able to keep the flow, keep the momentum going there. Turning inside the tree can surprise them. The ditches in front of these brushes are on an incredible angle.
Christopher Burton sets up for the famous Badminton Lake. Eric Winter has admitted he's made this a little bit easier this year, but afterwards, after they jump this big square Aintree box, now this man can really come into his own, Ian, because he can gallop.
Yeah, look at it. You can just see the horse accelerating away there. Absolutely loving it. But he's never looked in a hurry, but it's incredible that he's so up on the time. And it's a great spectacle here for the spectators to see the horses galloping and going through 2 waters in quick succession. It's a big triple bar, that, and he makes nothing of it.
Just coming towards the second last, the beautifully carved Rolex trunk. William Fox-Pitt and Little Fire galloping up towards the main arena themselves. This horse made its debut at the level last year at Pau, but this is a step up, and they have stepped up in amazing style. William just looking towards this last fence again, not going to catch the time. No one has done so yet.
Has had a run out, I believe, down there.
But safely over the last. He's going to come home just a touch under 30 seconds over the time. William Fox-Pitt and Little Fire.
He's a damn good horse, and I'm excited about him anyway, which is why I'm still going. It's why I'm here. It's all because of him. So it's been a very good experience today for him. I was a bit slow, which is jolly annoying because he's such a cruisy, top horse. But I think what I decided, just a couple of slightly softer options at the end. That did waste a bit of time, didn't it? But you know what? He was dead cool.
Your riding is still as good as it ever was. We've talked before about the competitive juices maybe lessening after the accident. Do you feel fired up again now?
You know what? I really am. I think I'm really fired up with these two horses I've got here. I've not got so many anymore. And these two are lovely horses, and they really got my blood up again, which is quite exciting because, as I said, I'd completely sort of died a death of enthusiasm and drive, and that's really coming back. You know, thanks hugely. You know, great Kate has been working on me and giving me a good boost, and I think it's coming back. But yes, it's taken a long time, hasn't it? Blimey.
It looked fantastic. You guys proud of him?
Yeah, really. He's done really well. Like, he's really proud of him.
Oh,
really good.
Star, family hug.
Yeah, William there, surrounded by his family, who've been a tremendous support to him as Christopher Burton and Graf Liberty come through Huntsman's up at the top of the course.
It looks very easy indeed. Beautiful flowing ride from Christopher Burton and Graf Liberty.
Coming to the staircase, we have Vania Camara and Piggy French. Rebalance very quickly down there. Some of the riders have been really slowing down for these steps, but Piggy's kicking on.
She has an amazing ability to jump out of a fast stride, but this is looking very fast as well. It's Graf Liberty and Christopher Burton coming home, Ian, and this has been poetry in motion, your words.
It has been incredible. He's made it look so easy, and look how much running the horse has got left in it. He's just galloping into the arena and still incredibly adjustable. 5 seconds to go. Is he going to make it? He must be very close and perfect. Spot on the optimum time. Don't get any better than that.
Just when we thought nobody would get inside the time, Chris Burton goes round bang on it. That's just showing off.
Look, I'm delighted. He makes my job easy, really. He goes into thick snaffle, for goodness sakes. He's a delight. So I was so thrilled. Our team we had him very fit, and the ground was really good, and I'm just proud of him.
It is amazing, though, watching you, because you never look like you're pressing him. You never look like you're struggling or under pressure. It just looks easy.
Yeah, I'm lucky today. I had one of those rounds, and they're really nice, and they're a treat when they come. To be honest, I was backing off in the whole way. I was going, slow yourself, so I'm delighted.
Piggy French with the horse that she's had twice in the top 5 at Burghley, Vania Camara. Piggy was also one of the British world gold medalists last summer at Tryon, North Carolina. She comes to the Shogun Hollow. You can see the horse looking all the time for where Piggy wants to go, and Piggy steers over that left-hand log in great style.
So for New Zealand, Jessie Campbell at these brush corners.
Jessie Campbell.
Another one to make it look quite straightforward.
So Piggy coming to the Outlander bank with Vania Camara. This has jumped an awful lot better than the riders expected.
It has, yeah. I mean, they didn't really know what the horses were going to do, but you see there, Piggy's horse she sat up. She did a perfect position to help the horse, and the horse put in a little stride and just popped over the brush. The brush is very forgiving. It's very soft and flimsy, but the horse has got to be thinking, and you've got to allow the horse to get on with their job. The riders could dictate there, and I think things would go wrong. The horses frequently know better than us anyway, and you've just got to allow them to sort it out for you.
Well, we mentioned Oliver Townend coming here off the back of a Kentucky win. Piggy took her Well Games horse there for a top 4 finish last week as well.
And a great turn in there. Piggy had a little bit of a swim in there last year. Considerably better this time.
Jessie Campbell and Cleveland coming to make their choice of the 2 almost hidden logs here at the Shogun Hollow. Another horse to look right down into the ditch. He goes right, which optical illusion. It looks smaller, but actually measuring stick-wise, they're identical height.
And here comes the corners on this open water for Piggy. Oh, very neatly popped over that ditch. And that's the control you want. She jumped the corner really well, really short and steady to the ditch, and had all the time in the world for that final corner.
Millie Dumas and Artistique, a first-timer here, 7th after dressage on 27.3, the best of the first-timers. And actually, Millie, a very experienced rider inside the world's top 100, but taking on her first badminton and going well at the early stages.
Piggy at this mound. She is one of the world's best cross-country riders. She can ride in such a good rhythm and balance and doesn't waste a second anywhere. A little bit of a wobble there.
Jessie Campbell and Cleveland up at the top of the course. Very sticky over that 6-foot drop into the water. Jumps the waterfall cascade and away.
massive crowds here at the lake. And that's quite a beautiful fence. The horses get a chance to jump something big and straightforward. Water on the top of it, but they're not noticing that before they come to the lake. The important thing, though, is to get straight to that fence, as is this one. And another horse to just pop over it quietly and land on the bank. And one of the tightest inside lines we've seen so far. Wasted not an inch of ground there.
Millie Dumas, who had that amazing streak of 53 cross-country runs in 2018 without a penalty, comes to the Shogun Hollow with Artistique. Again, just a bit of a cat leap over that, but the horse is nimble enough, Millie is quick enough to get back to that left-hand log and safely inside the flag.
And you can see Huntsman's Close. It's in the dark, it's in the shadow. Most of the riders are taking that quickest option, 5 strides on a bend between the 2 oxes and making nothing of it. Piggy's very quickly back into the stride after that combination and galloping really well. Horse is full of running, incredibly fit. It comes up to these rather tricky ditches. We don't really get a good view of what the ditch is in front of these brushes, but they are enormous. Both ditches are huge, and the angle of the takeoff is so strong that it encourages runouts. The horses just look on to these flags. They love this sport as much as the competitors do, the riders do.
At the lakeside, Jessie Campbell and Cleveland, another one to just really pop that log with the brush on top, landing back on terra firma before they then splash through the lake. The step up over the house and then away over the big Aintree box. It is big, square and wide, that box.
Nearly the end of the course, Piggy at the quarry. Again, very quickly in, and the tightest line through there. This is a class bit of riding. She's just keeping the foot to the metal the whole time.
Millie Dumas and Artistique at the Mirage Water, and this is the first we see going the long route. Broadly similar questions. Here they have to go up and down this mound. You can see the horse actually jumping into the water, thinking it's a jumping effort. And this is not a giveaway either. This corner is huge, but she gets it all, wastes a little bit of time.
And so Tom McEwen and Toledo de Cursor at this staircase, very well ridden, brings the horse back really nicely and just pops down these steps.
It's been a super round for Piggy French and Vania Chimera, and she looks like she might be able to get the time. Amazing cross-country riding from Piggy, as we see again and again. She's got a great ability to jump a fence off her eye from a great speed. She's over the last 3, 2, 1 seconds. Is she going to get it? Oh my goodness, 2 seconds over, 0.8 of a penalty for Piggy French and Vania Chimera. They are, though, our leaders in the clubhouse.
What a ride there from Piggy French. She goes straight to the top. And she's out in front of Christopher Burton, the only rider so far to be inside the time. Oliver Townend still got another ride to come. And what a comeback for William Fox-Pitt. First time he's got round since his accident. Well, Piggy French is in the position you wanted to be in, top of the leaderboard, but you're half delighted, half frustrated.
Oh, it's just those 2 seconds. It does. I'm not going to spoil the moment because she was fantastic and she's such a game little girl. Honestly, she's amazing because every other one-day event I do, she feels pretty average. It's not to put her down, but she comes into her own. When you give her a Badminton or a Burley, some other creature appears from her, and she is fantastic. And she's so game and so gutsy, and to be honest, I think I got quite behind the minute round the lake and was quite behind, but she flew home. And I just thought when I turned to the board I was 2 seconds under because it hadn't turned red yet. And so I was like, oh yes, I did finally manage to do it, because I'm always like 2 seconds or 3 seconds over it, or it feels like it. But I'm not gonna let that take away from how amazing she was.
Jessie Campbell and Cleveland coming up towards home. Now, their score here includes one of these 15 flag penalties, but that will be looked at by the jury, so it may be that he finishes on a better score than we see at the moment. That's his live score of coming up to 57 penalties, but Jesse Campbell and Cleveland are safely home.
12 minutes, 14 seconds, that's 11.2.
Millie Duma and Artistic taking the longer route at the Huntsman's Close. Slightly longer, adds about 2 or 3 seconds, but you get a much straighter approach to these big wide oxes.
Tom McEwen, Toledo de Cursa at the Shogun Hollow. That horse just eats that up.
And coming into the main arena, right at the end of the course, Millie Duma, already a minute over the clock. But this horse has jumped immaculately around this course, and for a first-timer here at Badminton, this pair have certainly covered themselves in honour. So a minute and a half over the time, but a real combination for the future. What stars these two are going to be.
Tom McEwen and Toledo de Cursa, his horse from the World Games last year as well. Very positive and brave riding from Tom up to that Trakehner. I mean, at this level, they have to just take that as a little bit of a speed bump in their stride, and if they can make it not a speed bump by being able to jump it at speed off their eye, so much the better.
Michael Ryan, of course, part of the Irish team of the
Of course, top 10 here at Badminton last year.
in fact, completed here.
Comes down plumb in the middle of the drop, gets a slight inside line to the second element there at the Hilden and away.
So Kitty King and Bondra de Beat, brilliant dressage here at the Hollow now, and jumps really well over the ditch, but again another horse that just didn't focus on that log. Kitty did absolutely nothing wrong. The horse just didn't see where it was going. If the horse doesn't pick its head up, if it looks down into the ditch, they're not ready for the log, and even at the second attempt, that was not very convincing.
Tom and Toledo de Cursa at the Night Timber Heights. This has actually been jumping pretty well. He's a long way off the first element. This horse is very brave. Just a few seconds over the time as they come and take the second skinny element, jumping off the up bank.
So Kitty King at this bank. Nice. Oh! Well, that is unfortunate. I was just about to say nicely onto the bank and a good 2 strides, but he just slides right down, watch him, right down into the base of the fence and then can't get out of it. He tries, but he just can't do it, and sadly, an elimination. But it's good to see both horse and rider are okay. Kitty rather disappointed, but walking away.
Tom McEwen and Toledo de Cursa setting up for the lake over this big table jump. See here, they've got this beautiful galloping strip alongside the lake that they go up and down, giving one of the largest crowds on course a great opportunity to see these athletes up close.
And a massive jump, another horse to land right down in the water. And you just saw the horse there on the turn. He got into slightly deep water, was a long way off the step and had to really reach for that brush as he came out. But Tom gives him a pat. Very, very bold horse, this. Great combination.
They went too far down on the clock coming out of the Vicarage Field area, so there's a real opportunity for them to capitalize on their speed.
He's got this triple bar as he goes back into the end of the pond. And, well, is that not frustrating? Sadly, just didn't quite get the right stake-off point. The horse's back leg just crashes through the fence, dislodges that back rail, so breaks a frangible pin. So that's 11 penalties to add. That makes them no longer competitive.
New Zealand rider Virginia Thompson and Star Nouveau taking on the Jules Corners early on the track on a dressage score of 38.3.
So the penultimate fence for Tom. He just hails the cab a little bit there, lets go of the left hand rein, keep his balance, but he's kicking on, galloping on. He's not really concerned about that 11 penalty that he picked up. Very, very close to the time. Such a great partnership. They've been so brilliant, and they were amazing at the World Championships last year. Not necessarily going to be right in the game this time, but they are real top-class competitors.
but 11 penalties.
Tom, I'm really sorry about that. It all rather unravelled, didn't it?
The horse is phenomenal. It's a shame for him. For me, it's just part and parcel. He's an exceptional horse, and yeah, like I said, just a shame for him. He travelled brilliantly, jumped brilliantly, sorted me out when we were not quite 100% right. Travelled, some unknown reason we started 20 seconds late. I'm not sure who didn't or did send us up. So yeah, he would have been inside the time, I would have thought, because I was only sort of 15, 18 seconds over anyway, wasn't I, when I finished. So yeah, a huge shame all round. It was all a bit of a multitude of small mistakes, but the horse was fantastic, and yeah, very happy with him.
Just talk us through what happened at the lake, because actually you looked to get into deep water early on, and then obviously you had the frangible pin and, you know, bashed the top rail on eventually on the way out. Yeah, no, it just started to get a little bit tired. It came in with far too much pace coming into the water. The deep water probably slowed me down, helped me turn, if anything. And just had too big a jump in. And turned around, popped up the set fine. And yeah, it was fine for that. Just tired, I was just trying to get breath in, but I knew how close I was on the time. And I know how much scope he's got, and just, yeah, it's just one of those things. Caught the back of the trip bar, and for safety reasons it's clipped, and obviously with rules it's 11 penalties, so 11 penalties, yeah.
No less than a 4-time winner in this park. Sir Mark Todd, NZB Campino, the early part of the track, coming to the saddle staircase. That's real multi-element question. And Campino's just a little bit ginger coming down the last steep section to the first step.
Virginia Thompson up the bank here. Oh, nicely up. Landed a little bit flat-footed, but actually helped the horse shorten for the second element, so it actually worked in the favour. Top over that Trakehner. So it's a Cavaletti and Urarina at home.
Nicely through the night over heights.
In the Deer Park in front of the house, NZB Campino, his London Olympic horse, and Mark Todd jumped the Jules corners at 7 and 8.
So Virginia Thompson at the Hilden Pond. Ooh, just leaves a little bit of a leg going in, but a quick recovery and just makes nothing of the element in the middle. Very positive bit of riding.
NZB Campino and Sir Mark Todd coming to the Shogun Hollow. Now, he said his horse might take a little bit of a look at this ditch, and just look at him. We shilly-shally either side of it before he eventually goes across, but there's nothing there to try and take on one of those big logs, and Mark calls it a day.
Yeah, you might have to explain to some of the viewers what shilly-shally means, but Virginia at the lake, and this horse very athletic, very quick across the ground, but very economical with its jumping. He just pops fences. He doesn't waste any excess energy. Again, he just lands very short at the back of that log into the lakes, up the step, and very quickly and neatly over the brush. And look at the acceleration as he gallops away there. Very speedy, very, very rapid, and she's even got time to wave to the Kiwi hospitality tent.
Yeah, just 27 years old. She has form at the level in Adelaide. She sold up down south after that result and has completed here before and Burghley last year.
They're clear of the Worcester Avenue
Great
table.
Andrew Nicholson. He springs at these corners, and he just makes it happen. He just accelerated through that bend.
Virginia Thompson and Star Nouveau just taking a somewhat inside line between the two walls up there at the Horsequest Quarry, close to home.
And Swallow Springs approach the
Andrew at the bank. Oh, wow. I kind of half looked as though Andrew was intending going in one stride there, but the horse very, very quick with his feet, put in a little tiny stride, and again, very clever with his feet at that Trakehner.
And here at the Rolex trunk, Virginia Thompson and Star Nouveau, it looks to have been a very, very smooth round for the New Zealand combination, based here now in Gloucestershire. Comes up into the arena. And look at this clock. She is going to be another one inside the time. It's all Antipodeans so far who are catching the time here at Badminton, and Virginia Thompson is going to be the latest with Star Nouveau. A fantastic result there, and this might be the next one.
Well, Andrew Nicholson, we heard him say that with 7 seconds going the long route was what he was planning, but he lies, he goes direct, and he makes child's play of it. And very, very quickly he gives the horse a little bit of leg and back into the gallop. That horse really concentrating. You can see his ears flickering backwards and forwards as Andrew's asking questions. He's just thinking all the time, what does Dad want next? Comes up to this mound with a brush on the top. Very neat, very quick, very economical, speedy.
It's the only one we've seen come out of that area under the time expected. Bill Levitt, Last Van Diamond Lift, his World Games horse from last year. Australian rider at the Outlander Bank. Again, he just finds himself a little bit further forward. He has to scrabble in the second stride in front of the brush, away from the Normandy Bank, but he does so. Flies the Trakehner.
So Laura Collett and Mr. Bass, really good dressage test. Come down to the hollow. Quite quick. Oh, very neat, very athletic and agile, and no wonder she gives him a few pats on the neck. That was very impressive.
Very neatly jumped through there. They head on now towards the KVRA.
She just gallops past the end of the house and turns to this massive footbridge. This is where you want to think forward, but she's having to fight with him, say, come here, wait for me, boy. And shows his effortless scope. And it's good to see that she's patting the horse, keeping its confidence after each jump.
Bill Levitt and Last Van Diamond Lift up at the top of the course. Bill, who's been based here in the UK for a very long time, had this horse with good results at Bramham in Yorkshire last year and also at Tattersall's in Ireland. He just really had to hunt into that second part.
That was a bit scary. But Andrew Nicholson at these three brushes, they look quite innocent, but they're on incredible angles, and you really have to work to get them. Takes the flag out of that final element, but that's not an issue.
Laura Collett, Mr. Bass, here at the Mirage Water. Again, very tidy inside that, and then actually shapes the turn outwards to come straight over the far left-hand side. She's going to circle now.
Yeah, she was almost too fast. There was no way that she could really anchor the horse. It was too bold, and it's shown already that she's had a job holding him together. Another quick pat.
And Laura, who rides in these classes, she actually had a bad riding accident a couple of years ago and has reduced vision in one of her eyes. I mean, we talk about our riders being brave. To do this with that, it makes her even braver.
Maybe it's better if you can't see. However, here we go with Bill Levitt up the leg. Another one to go a little bit left and get into that slightly deeper water. That's when it drags on the horse's legs. But very good on the way out. And again, accelerate down the side of the lake. It's such beautiful going here. The ground conditions are absolutely perfect. Hugh Thomas and the crew have done an amazing job here with the ground.
They hail from Cheshire with and
Winner with Paul Ank-Broca a few years ago. Sam Griffiths returns this year with Billy Liffey, bred by Pippa Funnell and her husband Williams, Billy Stud. They jump the Jules corners, actually glancing both flags off.
So Andrew Nicholson's Waller Springs getting towards the end of the course, and interestingly enough, he goes longer. He goes round the rails, and I wonder if that's just to be able to keep the gallop, keep the momentum. If you turn inside that tree, you're certainly having to reorganize the horse a little too much.
But this has been one of those horses that we've been talking about for years. Mr. Bass, he is just one of those horses that consistently at the levels below has been finishing on his dressage score, and a former 7-year-old world young horse champion at Lyon d'Angers as well.
Yeah, he's quite an impressive horse. He's very carefully landed on the bank and then jumped into the water off the bank. Neat, quick thinking, sharp with his feet.
Billy Liffey, Sam Griffiths coming to the Shogun Sport Hollow.
for the ditch at 10 before the two choices left
And
or
really
right.
get canalised onto that roof. The horse, you can see just looking, it clocked that ditch, it looked down into it, it didn't give them the most comfortable jump. And again, by not having that comfortable jump, they didn't get the line to the left-hand log that Sam had chosen.
Yeah, it's as soon as the horses put their head down and look into that ditch, there is no way they're thinking about what's coming next. So it's almost impossible to get to that log, and you have no choice but to have a 20 penalties and have to represent.
Heading towards home now, Bill Levitt and Laspan Diamond Lift. This round is going well for Uncle Bill, as we know. Clears those two big oxes on the straightest and most direct route.
And so penultimate fence for Andrew Nicholson, and he just says, come on boy, accelerate here, and the horse is galloping into the main arena. He's a real class horse, this, with one of the best riders in the world on top. And look at the clock. Is this going to be another one inside the time? Oh, sees a great one at the last, absolutely flies it, and quite casually is patting the horse as he crosses the line 1 second inside.
It took Andrew Nicholson such a long time to win this Mitsubishi Motors trophy. He did it 2 years ago. He's put himself in a great position again on that lovely grey horse, Swallow Springs. He goes into third behind Chris Burton and Piggy French. Andrew Nicholson is with me now. Clear 1 second inside the time. That's not bad.
Yeah, I watched Chris Burton this morning go round, and he made it look like it's a schooling training day, smack on the optimum time, and I thought, well, I'm going to have to jiggle myself up and try and do the same. I don't think I was as smooth as him, but it felt good.
So Imogen Murray and Ivor Gooden at those steps. Oh, and just look at the back legs. He just sat down, and it was almost like a toboggan going down into those steps, but very athletic and neat.
Just coming to the very last, it is Laspan Diamond Lift and Bill Levitt. He's just going to be 20 seconds over the Optum. Yep, 20 exactly, for sixth at the moment for the Australian Championship rider.
So Ryan, how did you get on there?
Oh, he's looking well. He's pulled up well. I'm so pleased. He just went so well cross country. It's his first 5-star. I just can't believe it. I was gasping every way around. I could hardly look at the screen. But when he came through that finish line, he flew through, and he just looks so well in himself. It's just so exciting.
It's a brilliant job, isn't it? Yeah. I know you work hard, but you clearly love it.
I love it, and I love my horses. And to see them come to something like this, and I've seen them come up the levels a little bit, and it's just incredible. It's just absolutely incredible. I just can't describe the feeling. I'm going to go and check my pony again now. Thank you.
Well, that's quite brilliant. Well done him. These grooms do a phenomenal job looking after these horses. That was quite brilliant. Oh, and Sam just got a little bit hesitant into there. I've seen one or two horses just slowly pop in, but Sam, showing all his experience, and said, move horse, and he gives a great jump in the middle element.
65th after dressage, this combination, Ivor Gooden and Imogen Murray, but they've proven, particularly at Burghley over the last few years, that they can be cross-country specialists. This is their first big challenge, and my goodness, they make it look so easy.
21, 22, and 23, very close together.
Imogen, and one of our younger riders in the field, heading to the KBIS footbridge. Prepared for this with a top 10 at Belton in Lincolnshire, which is one of those real pre-badminton form guide runs. Rides that lovely off the eye.
And so Mr. Bass coming to the end, and a massive jump over that log. Stood off a mile, just shows how much running and enthusiasm and energy he's got left as he comes to the main arena and that final fence. So nearly half a minute over the time, but he's almost been a little bit keen for Laura. He's been quite strong and enthusiastic, so you have to take more time setting them up, but great over the last, and she punches there. She is thrilled, and so she should be.
Let's get the reaction of Laura Collett, because you had to make a quick decision, didn't you, at the Mirage Water?
Yeah, like he was so bold, almost a bit too bold. I thought he'd be a bit pokey over the ditch, but he just jumped out of my hand, and I stood no chance of getting to the corner, and so I had to do a circle, and I should have been a bit quicker and turned a bit tighter to do the circle. But yeah, I mean, he's a phenomenal horse, and I'm very proud of him. I'm a bit emotional. Yeah, he's been amazing, and I just feel like I've let him down a bit, but he's jumped around there and felt fantastic, so we'll have to come back and do better next year.
Imogen, very good. Such an experienced combination now at this 5-star level. And he is a cross-country machine and just shows all his brilliance.
So it was a tough morning for Tim Price with Bango earlier on today. He's back out with Ringwood Skyboy, looking to try and stay as close as possible to his 30.1 dressage score. Tim, the winner of Burghley last year, following up on his Luhmühlen win from a couple of seasons ago at this level.
Sam Griffiths coming towards the lake. Well, that was an extraordinary place to run out. Wasn't what I was expecting, but he's not had the easiest ride. You just see the horse, he's got his ears pricked, and then he just suddenly says, no, I really don't want to know, and just ducks out. Actually, he didn't give Sam much warning there, and Sam quite rightly calls it a day.
For a little while now, he was fifth.
Tim Price, Ringwood Skyboy,
second at Burghley again.
setting up for the Outlander Bank.
They just get one or two sort of hiccup moments there at that bank, but the horses are very definitely thinking about what they're doing, and you could see there that the horse had to adjust himself, and as long as the rider's in the right place, they can get on with the job.
The 2017 season was vintage for this pair, cross-country clear at both Badminton and Burghley, and doing so with one of those ubiquitous Wilbury Wonder ponies, raising money for that astounding charity in memory of Hannah. And another Wilbury pony comes home with Imogen Murray and Ivor Gooden, just a couple of seconds over, 4 seconds over, up from 65th after dressage to 8th at the moment.
So Oliver Townend, fresh from a big win in Kentucky last week. Brilliant ride. He did an amazing job on the young horse Eva this morning. And they're such an experienced combination, this. I can't wait to see what they produce.
Tim Price and Ringwood Skyboy, his Burghley winner from just 6 months ago, pushes the flag off the first corner at the Mirage Pond, gets a big jump up in the air, and he has to really fight for control to get his tight turn back to that second corner. Oliver coming to the Shogun Hollow. Oliver's score here with Ballottmore Class is the only combination that can go in front of Piggy French at the end of the day. And Ballottmore Class is just getting better and better since his 2017 Burghley victory.
Ringwood Skyboy. Tim Price at the mound. And one of the tightest, neatest lines we've seen through there all day. That was fantastic.
Oliver Townend coming to the Outlander Bank. Had that amazing 2009 when he won Badminton and Burghley in the same year. He repeated his Burghley victory back in 2017, but winning here again after all that time would mean so much to Oliver.
The leg for Tim doesn't get very high there. Has to make some quick adjustments and then really ride on the way out. But all safe.
They're coming to this Mirage Water, Oliver Townend, and this is the big test.
Yeah, it certainly is. Takes the flag out there, but very definitely jumps the corner. Nice and controlled at the ditch, and makes that turn happen. That was quite brilliant. That's Oliver Townend at his supreme best.
British Championship medalists Tina Cook and Billy the Red just eat up those two big Jules corners early on, hoping to make up for disappointment with first ride of the day.
So quickly inside the tree there for Tim, and he really has to ride for that second element. And he just gives the horse a little tap to say, come on boy, we're not finished yet, keep concentrating.
Oliver Townend over the big dray, Again, just tries to not have to adjust it all over that big fence, just take it in the horse's stride. Balak Mortlas, they come now to these 3 brushes. And it's so deceptive to see a rider like Oliver, because you have to be super accurate on your line through here, and he makes it look easy.
And flying over that penultimate fence, Tim Price is really galloping into the ring. He always says this is such a gutsy little horse, a real trier. Not the most scopy horse in the world, but he gives absolutely everything all the time. And look at that clock. Yet another Kiwi is going to be close to the time. And he's not really riding stopping his watch. And that was very casual, very confident.
Second rider of the day, bang on the time, Tim Price. What a fantastic round of jumping on, a real superstar of a horse.
He's turned out to be one, hasn't he? When I first got him, he was far from that, but always had the heart and the mindset to want to do the right thing, not always eventuating in the right thing. But I just loved the fact we're such old friends out there. We could use that in certain places, because he's not necessarily fast. He knows how to keep giving when he's tired. That's through the experience he's had at this level. But he's super honest. I trusted him on some pretty tight lines, and he just kept delivering and diving through the flags.
Well, on the lakeside now for Balak Mortlas. Oliver thinking about that 11 minutes 45 optimum time. We've seen several get it, all Australians and New Zealanders so far. 2 exactly on it. We just heard from Tim Price. Great record here. He's one of the only previous riders to have gone inside the time. And this is going well here.
Yeah, it's looking a real class performance, and Oliver was so relaxed as he jumped through that lake. He gave the horse all the time in the world, just asked it to open up coming out to that brush, and the horse responding well.
Up at the very top water, Billy the Red. Tina Cook drops down in, full 6-foot drop, and she just goes middle to middle, a lovely line between the 2 elements there.
So getting towards the end of the course, Oliver taking the tight line through Huntsman's Close, just pops these up to just the horse showing all the scope that he has, all the ability and all the quality.
Tina just sitting up, preparing for this Mirage Pond combination. Safely inside the corner. You're pushed off the natural line. You'd like to jump a corner like that. You hear her going to the voice, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah, he just did a rather big awkward jump over the ditch, and unfortunately Tina slipped the reins and lost the knitting a little bit, and so she had no choice but to go the long route. She might not be too happy with things having to do that, wasting time, but she's still clear.
Shadow the Pins, they incur 11 penalty points for that. Tina Cook
She gallops on up to the mound. See her ducking under the tree there. Not getting knocked off by the branches. Pops in there quite beautifully. Makes that look very easy, but look at the time. She's already 29 seconds down, and most of that was that long route at the Mirage Pond.
But look at this time. We might be about to see a change to the top of our leaderboard. Galloping up towards home, the 5-star winner at Burghley 2 seasons ago, and riding for his first win here in 10 years.
Yeah, well, look back at 12 months and Oliver was in a bit of trouble with this horse here at Badminton. This year he has been exemplary in his riding ability and the way he's nursed and coached these horses. He has been something to worship, the way he's ridden. Quite brilliant.
This spring's just been a dream for him. He's enjoyed every event. He's just about won every event. Won last time at Burnham Market and then comes here, and as soon as he got into his stride, he was just unreal, and I just saved and saved and saved, came out the lake and said go, and it's not a feeling you get very often in our job that you say go and one opens his stride up like that.
You yourself have had to make a fair few sacrifices to help him. You've lost a lot of weight, haven't you, this year?
Yeah, a lot of weight. I do it every year, but this year I've reached my lightest I've been since I was about 17 years old. So, you know, we wanted to come here and really show the world how good he was. He didn't have chance last year, and he always shines at Burghley, and that's because he's always had runs up until Burghley.
this time he's shone better than ever. I think that's his best round to date.
Do you think he's the best horse you've ever ridden?
He's getting there. I've been so lucky in my career. I've ridden so many superstars, you know, at a young age. Not all straightforwards, don't get me wrong, and plenty have had to be sold to keep the show on the road. But having said all that, to get on him makes everything worthwhile.
Good stuff today, well done.
Thank you very much.
Another former Burghley winner on course is Christopher Burton. Cooley lands 11th after dressage on 28.1, and Christopher has already been clear inside the time on this course today.
Tina at those upright brushes. Very quick. Takes the flag out, but very quick and neat through there as she approaches the lake.
Pippa Funnell, who was our trailblazer earlier on. Billy Walk-On, his second ride of the day. Ian.
Yeah, well, that was kind of an unfortunate one to come in on Pippa. She'd had a brilliant ride earlier in the day. And this horse, Billy Walk-On, just looking a little bit green and inexperienced. He had a real good look at that. Pippa's seen a big stride. You can see her approaching. The steering's not brilliant. She's riding forward for the stride, but the horse just backs off. You see him here just saying, no, I'm not going to, and he puts in another stride and then lands his back legs on that rail and breaks the frangible devices.
Yeah, doing their job exactly, helping to make the fence safer if a horse does come down on it in that fashion. Christopher Burton. Christopher at the Shogun Hollow. Very steady under the roof. Oh!
Yet another one that didn't quite... I mean, he's made this first ride look so brilliant, Christopher, but just looked a little bit green there. The horse wasn't quite focused.
Up to the top of the course, the Hildon Water Pond for Pippa Funnell and Billy Walk-On. And he's just not at the races today, this 10-year-old, after that experience at the footbridge, just not going for her.
Yeah, and Pippa's probably very disappointed. This is a really, really good horse, a young horse in the making. And but having made that mistake and banged his back legs, it's just enough to just spoil their confidence. And she's very carefully gone back into the water to say, it's okay, boy, there's no real big deal.
Tina Cook and Billy the Red. Now, interestingly, she is not going the most direct of routes here at the Huntsman's Close. So that's the middle route. It doesn't waste a lot of time. We were discussing how the ground conditions have made that more of an option because you don't have to slow down so much on the curving line into the first part that she jumped.
This lovely horse, a little bit of a mistake at the hollow, but other than that, gone really well. He has the knack of making his horses look very relaxed and very balanced the entire time. And one of the neatest lines to that final corner that we've seen all day. And again, he never looks as though he's hurrying.
So Tina Cook, Billy the Red, so many championship results, both individually. She's been European champion and an Olympic individual medalist, but so often contributing to amazing British team scores and medals, but never scored the major five-star victory. She goes the inside line here. These two ditch brushes.
And a very good inside line. It was real balanced and confident. Christopher Burton at the lake. It's important that they get straight to that fence at the side of the lake so the horses don't think they're jumping directly into the water. So many distractions with people and tents and flags flying. These horses are incredibly experienced and well-trained. They don't even notice it. In fact, they thrive on the attention.
But once again, we see Chris looking down at his watch. We see him move this horse up. It hasn't just been, as Ian said, quite as smooth as Graf Liberty earlier on. But again, he is one of the fastest riders in the world. And don't be deceived, this is moving and motoring.
You could just see him making a little bit of adjustment there before that triple bar. Made it happen. Tina Cook and Billy the Red. Quarry, nice and neat, and then opens up on the way out. 45 seconds to get home. She's not going to make that, but she'll only have a few time faults.
Huntsman's Close, not far from home now for Christopher Burton towards the end of our cross-country day. Very economical through there, still motoring, coming to this chicane. And the question here as much is about the ditches, but it's about what you can do with a tired horse. And here, Christopher, interestingly, going outside.
Yeah, you know, it's the end of the course, it's the highest point in the course, and the horses can be getting a little weary. And if you take a pull and set them up for these fences, you can actually stall the impulsion, stall the forward momentum, and that's not what you want to do at this stage in the course, as Tina Cook is flying into the arena. 20-odd seconds over. These a nice one to the last, just pops over it. And that long route at the Mirage Pond has just wasted so much time for Tina.
He's a very, very classy horse. He's not very big, and he manages to carry me around. I'm quite tall, and he's usually a very good jumper on the last day. So, you know, I'm close to trying to winning a Badminton or a Burghley, which I haven't managed to do yet.
And I know you're frustrated because you think there are things you could have done that would have helped.
Yeah, I'm just frustrated that I dropped my rein. You know, that's just a schoolgirl error. He jumped the ditch and I went to pull the right rein and I missed it. And those sort of things are so expensive. At this level of competition, you just can't afford to make silly mistakes like that. And the horse went so well for me. And it will be costly in the end because, you know, I'll be way behind.
But it shows how competitive and ambitious you remain, because top 10, you know, in the old days you go, oh, great, top 10, now you're going, ah, ah.
Yeah, because I'm now riding a horse that's actually good enough that could win it. It's incredibly tough to do that, and you need everything to go your way. But I needed to go inside the time today, and I haven't. But you have to look to the future, and you have to take it as it is. But yeah, I am really competitive, and I love it, and I've been in the sport a long time, and it's great to have my children here supporting me. So yeah, it's good fun.
Brilliant stuff, well done.
Thank you.
Christopher Burton absolutely flying. We heard his watch beep at the 10-minute marker in that chicane ditch hedges. He was clear inside the time earlier on first ride Graf Liberty, and looks set to do it again. He sits up into a great shape over the last, and look at this, seconds in hand for Christopher Burton. And that's going to move him up into 5th place going into the final day.
You're the only person to have ridden 2 horses inside the time, so 5 have gone inside the time, 2 of them ridden by you. It is an exceptional day, isn't it?
It is. I've learnt you have to enjoy these days when they come, when the sun's shining like this especially. I was delighted with them. They were both amazing, and our team's done an amazing job getting them here so fit and well, and I just had to steer them, really.
Did you do anything different from ride 1 to ride 2?
Oh, no, not really. I got to relax after ride 1. That was nice. I always feel that helps a little bit. But they're very different horses, so I'm so pleased that Coolie Lands went so well.
Chris Burton, so cool in the saddle and out of it, and he has 2 horses in the top 5. So 78 started the cross country, 47 jumped clear, only 5 inside the time. And that leaderboard of top 12 includes 6 from Great Britain, 3 from Australia and 3 from New Zealand. And so we come to the final phase, the show jumping, the riders behind me all getting ready to try and jump clear around fences that do knock down, and if they knock down, they pick up penalty points. Now, in eventing, the horses are all checked by a vet to ensure that they're fit and sound to go forward, and 2 horses this morning were not presented. Mr. Chunky, ridden by Porrig Harrington, and Mr. Bass, ridden by Laura Collett. Both of those will not be completing Badminton this year. But if you want to see the show jumping live, the final 20 going in reverse order, we're going to be showing it live on the red button very, very shortly. We'll then bring you all the highlights, the interviews, everything at 5:30 here on BBC Two. And next on BBC Two, it's the final of the World Snooker Championships. John Higgins against Judd Trump. But if you want to find out whether Oliver Townend can win the title here at Badminton for the 2nd time, whether Piggy French can do it for the 1st time, or whether Christopher Burton could come through and beat both of them, then join us live now on the red button.